we're here with Cherise from Garden Diva. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did.
And we got Alessio from Alessio's Gardens, and we've also got
Vincenzo from Flooring.
Fantastic. All right, so we're at the Perth Garden Festival today, and Alessio's Gardens have got their work on display, which is absolutely fantastic. So we're going to get Cherise to walk us around and have a look on what's on display.
Yep, okay, so as you enter in, we've got our succulent, it's actually a jelly planter, so that's supposed to be like a jellyfish, which is basically just succulents in a hanging basket. And then we've got our turf, our Empire Zoysia turf daybed, which is actually really comfortable. Did you want to lie down on it, Alessio?
Alessio is going to demonstrate for us today.
No, we haven't. Yes.
What a specimen he is.
Yeah, and we wanted exactly our top model. We wanted it to be really rustic. So the whole idea of this display is that it's achievable and it's sustainable, using recycled materials, using often things that you've already got. But it's not perfect. It's very natural and it's very earthy, and we're basing it on biophilic principles, which is all about loving nature and using lots of plants, patterns, that sort of thing. And really, it's just about being more natural and not having to.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, not having to spend an absolute fortune. You can do things yourself often. And we've got this Zoysia daybed does not actually need mowing. So this is about 8 weeks of not mowing, and this down here is the mown version.
Oh, fantastic.
So eventually what happens here is it'll get moundy, so it sort of goes like this.
Yep.
And then if it gets a bit too uncomfortable with the mounds, you can just mow that bit.
Fantastic.
And it's quite water-wise grass, so you can just put some reticulation in it. And
wow.
This is actually hopefully coming home with me and going in the middle of my lawn.
And you designed this one as well?
Yes, yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and then we've got the succulent table here. This is just for the show. We've just done cuttings, and it's double glazed here, so it's not as hot. I mean, normally you'd put it in a bit of shade, this sort of thing, but just for the purposes of 4 days, we thought it would be all right. Then we've got our veggies and flowers. Really important to have flowers in the garden for all the pollinators and the hoverflies, the bees that will help pollinate your veggies. And the corten steel is really good. Now, if this was in a normal garden situation, I'd probably insulate the containers with, say, bubble wrap or something like that, because it can get quite hot for the roots in summer. But it's just a nice contemporary way to have a raised bed, really. And we've used this gravel here, this compacted red fines, this red gravel, and the whole aim is just to get more moisture down into the ground rather than just coming off into stormwater drains. So the ground will actually hold the water, and then other plants can take it up. And
there's a lot of thought gone into this, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And then we have this is the meadow. This over here is the meadow. It's a Perth meadow style garden. So they're calling it contemporary naturalistic plantings, perennial plantings, and it's basically designed to have to support a lot of insect life and bird life, and it's designed so we have something flowering pretty well every day of the year. And there's also the structure as well. We've got the trees giving it a little bit of shade. That one is an Indian beech tree, which is Miletia pinnata. Gets about 8 metres, so okay for a medium-sized garden. And we've got our little bird baths here. Very important to have some water in the garden for the insects and the bees and the birds.
Absolutely.
And this is over here is a flowering tobacco plant.
Oh wow.
The Nicotiana. And we're also trying to encourage people to use more of these ornamental grasses. People are very familiar with the lomandras and the dianellas, but these are used a lot in Europe, and they're very dry tolerant. This one in particular is actually, it's just past its prime now, but it used to have lovely plume, feather-like grasses, heads in summer. It's just a really lovely grass. And there's another one over there. Unfortunately, we couldn't get them flowering because it's a bit late in the season.
Not the time of the year?
Yep, and it's called a miscanthus grass.
Beautiful.
And this one here has been very popular today. It's a chocolate cosmos, so it even smells a bit like chocolate. And it's a semi-herbaceous perennial, so it dies down a bit over winter, but then it will come back again, and once again a nice little flower for the garden.
And we've got the water again over here.
Yes, that's a frog pond. We'd usually have little native black minnow fish in there that would eat the mosquitoes, and obviously doesn't eat the frog tadpoles' eggs, the frog eggs. So that's just a nice little feature.
It's important to note there, I mean, this has only been here less than a week, and there is bees throughout.
Yeah, we've got it. And we also, the first day we had found a little tiny baby tree frog.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not sure where that came from, but it was lovely.
Absolutely.
And this guy here, this is a yarrow. It's a Achillea salmon beauty.
Mm-hmm.
Gives a bit of an upright form, and actually it's a good compost activator. So they can be quite vigorous. So if you grow them near compost, you can just chop them up and throw them in the compost, and it helps break down your compost. So, and it's also very good for bees and hoverflies.
Fantastic.
So, and then over here, this is our fire pit area.
Oh, wow.
And so we've got the...
I was going to ask you about that. I didn't know what that was.
This is an amazing guy called Michael from Fire Pits and Garden Features, and he's made this lotus for us just for the show.
Wow.
It's just so beautiful. So if it was colder, we'd probably put some...
Yeah.
It's pretty hot. And then we've got the gabion benches, which this is all pallets we found. It's got herbs on the side, which if you were doing your own garden, you just have to hook some retic up and obviously cover the pots.
Yeah.
But that's a bit, we're a bit rushed. But usually you just have all the pots covered.
Yeah.
But you can do it. Another way you can do it is you can put them in troughs and have them coming out of the top, and have one bit of seat there. You have them in troughs, and then you just have the rocks on top, so then they're much easier to water.
Oh, fantastic.
And you can have, if you're near a barbecue or something, you can have, barbecue herbs, so it's more convenient to, just pick something for the garden. And these over here are wattles, acacia waterfall, and they're just a really nice feature. And they basically stay like that. They probably just get a bit thicker, but they're grafted plants, so they'll stay pretty much the same height. And I've had a lot of comment on them over the last few days.
Beautiful. So could you have these up high and make them hang down a bit more?
Yeah.
Do they keep growing longer? Or?
Well, they will. They'll keep growing longer because it'll just... Well, no, they'll sort of maybe a little bit, but they'll sort of more go out. But there is a plant that you'd use, which is probably better for that if you had a balcony or retaining wall or something called cousin it. It's a casuarina.
They're fantastic for balding men as well that need extra hair too.
So. We need Alessio. Alessio, can you just get behind the thing there, the acacias? Can you go around, please?
Need to wear one as a wig.
Yeah, he doesn't know what's coming. And then we have a claret ash there, which is a really nice shade tree, which goes quite red.
Beautiful.
In the...
Alessio, can you demonstrate for us how you can wear one of these as a wig?
Okay.
That is just fantastic. And it is just so much quicker working and cheaper than a hair transplant. It's honestly
so
remarkable.
Too. It's so soft.
Nature just provides, And if you really want to, you can paint the leaves as well. So.
Exactly.
And Alessio is a very good looking bloke.
He is.
So
He's a very
been a wonderful
chap.
model today.
So now this is a copper bird bath. I got this from a place over east, and they make them by hand. And basically, I was a bit concerned about the copper, because copper is actually toxic. And I thought, well, why are we putting a toxic water feature in the garden? But it's not toxic. They've done tests on it, and it's not toxic to birds or creatures because of the way there's only minute quantities goes in the water, apparently. And it's also quite cool. So it's just a nice little feature. And even I have a friend who's very much into birds, and she's got species of birds that they haven't seen for years, just because she's provided so much habitat. And it's
so important, isn't it?
Well, and even just having your breakfast and looking out the window, and there's a bird bath with birds in it. It's just entertainment.
Absolutely.
It's gorgeous.
It's a real morale booster, isn't it? Now, Alessio pointed these things. I was fascinated with them, particularly this one that's hanging off the roof.
Yes, with the succulents.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, well, they're pretty tough. Like you don't have to do much with succulents, and even the ones that are supposed to be shade tolerant, if you give them enough time, nearly all of them become sun tolerant.
Oh, beautiful!
And they just a bit of retic every now and then would
And just like Alessio, they just get better with age.
Absolutely. And then here's our suspended day bed, which Vincenzo from Memo Flooring and Alessio constructed.
Oh, beautiful.
And it's we've got a sign there saying, look, don't sit, but that's only because of the construction guidelines for the show. Normally this would be absolutely fine. It's designed to sit on. But we haven't been able to use concrete, so we don't know how stable it is, so we're not going to risk someone's back or falling off it. But it's kind of nice. 2 people can sit on it, and very relaxing just to chill out. Lots of nice cushions. And then there's the vertical garden that Alessio designed, and he actually designs and manufactures these systems. So I think he sells them either empty or full. So they usually just do them on a square metre basis, and it's just such a lovely wall to have, a wall of green rather than just a wall of concrete or
absolutely.
brick
He was
wall.
telling me before that the frame there's not as many gaps as there are in this one.
No, but we've had a few problems with supply, so we thought we'd just leave a little bit open because we thought we would because we had to, because we ran out of plants. But and then we had originally this bar section over here was going to be an insect hotel, like the whole thing was going to be an insect hotel. But then we did just run out of time.
Yep. Well, it looks like you've had your hands full.
We have. So we borrowed a little insect hotel from a lovely lady up the way selling them. So we thought we'd just at least put a little token one in.
If you're an insect on holiday,
come here.
Alessio's Gardens, hit them up because they've got a fantastic hotel here, and it looks really cool.
Yeah, and then over here we've got this some more veggies and the gravel again, some chairs, and this is a screen by a lovely local lady Dee from Dee Metal Garden Sculptures, and she's done this tree of life for us, which really fits in with the whole ethos of
And it's really great to see women behind the tools as well. That's awesome.
She's very talented. She did our entry sign as well, so, and some little flowers she does. And we just used, this is all from the side of the road.
Fantastic.
Vincenzo and I just picked a whole lot of stuff up.
This is great.
We're trying to.
You've turned it into your treasure.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're pretty happy with it.
All right, well, is there anything else that you'd like to?
I'd just like to say thanks to these guys, Alessio and Vincenzo, for working so hard. They just brought the design to life, and it's quite amazing that it's been pulled together in 10 days. And
the dream team.
Yeah, really nice to work with these guys. So.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys, and a big thumbs up.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
See ya.